In 2017, at the ripe old age of 21, I competed in my first and only bodybuilding competition as a men's physique competitor at the RIBBF Spring Classic in Limerick, Ireland. Before the show, I actually naively thought I had a pretty decent chance of winning the whole thing if things went my way. Roll the clip.
Good question. Am I nervous / do I think I'll win? Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous as hell because, I'm a very competitive person. I want to do well. I've put in all this work for the last 10 weeks, so I want to be rewarded for it. Do I think I'll win? Man, I don't know. It really just depends how things go on the day, how I look on the day. I know that if it all goes my way, I have a good chance of at least placing. This is my first show. I'm very young. I'm only 21. And there's going to be guys up there who've been competing for years and stuff, so it'll be very interesting. I'll be very interested to see how I do, but I'm hopeful that I can do well.
I competed naturally and managed to place top 15 out of a class of about 32 athletes. Before we jump into the title of the video, I don't want this to come across as a knock on the sport of bodybuilding. I love watching people compete, but this is just, for me personally, why I will never compete in another show again. With the rising popularity of bodybuilding through social media, steroids have become more prevalent in the space than maybe ever before. In order to be in any way competitive within the fitness space, the bodybuilding space, you need to be enhanced these days. Otherwise, you're quite literally competing at a different sport. My issue with this is that even natural bodybuilding shows are not really natural. I was chatting to a guy in the gym the other day. He's in great shape, nice guy. And he said to me, man, I'm thinking about hopping into a natural bodybuilding show. I was like, oh, class, you're natural, man. And he was like, yeah, I have been for like the last 6 months. I didn't know what to say. This is a problem. Once you've taken steroids in your lifetime, you can no longer claim natural. It's like playing GTA with the cheat codes on. Once you do it, you can never go back. There was somebody out there at the same time that you were enhanced, naturally training, and you were training enhanced. Guess who's gonna make more progress? For me, this lack of transparency with bodybuilding in general and even natural shows is a real turn off because you never truly know who you're on stage against. I'm a really competitive person. Always have been, always will be. I came from a sporting background before I got into the gym. Football was my sport of choice. What I loved about football was it's black and white. In football, if our team scores more goals than your team, we win. If we don't, we don't. This is not the case with bodybuilding. Bodybuilding in general is incredibly subjective. There's a panel of judges at the show, and depending on the judges you get, the time of the year it is, what that judge specifically likes in the physique, that can dictate you winning or losing a show. And maybe with a different set of judges and a different time of the year, you would have won because you brought a package that they were looking for, just not today. That bothers me. Look, some people love this, and for them it's what makes bodybuilding. That's cool. I hate that level of unknown. I hate that level of subjectivity. You put years of work into your physique. You then diet down for months to get into the best shape possible for this one day to step on stage for maybe 3 minutes and have a group of strangers validate it for you and others. I realized quite soon after my show that I didn't like that feeling and I wouldn't pursue it again. Bodybuilding as a sport is not healthy. Steroids aside, just looking at the sport of bodybuilding, it's not exactly a trip down health lane. Pushing your body to the limits on a daily basis in the gym, dieting down to very low, ultimately unsustainable levels of body fat is never going to be healthy or desirable for most people. Couple this with what it does to you mentally, and particularly what I found it did to me mentally after my show. And I just don't think it's a good recipe for success or something that I would actively be looking for in my life again at the age of 28. I distinctly remember after my show in 2017, hating how I looked. I thought I wasn't lean enough. I really struggled with body image issues. I was all over the place mentally. I actually went straight from that show to a J1, spent the summer in America. And for that whole summer in America, I thought I was out of shape. I thought I was really like skinny fat. And I look back on those photos now and the videos from that time, and it's crazy because I was skin and bone. I was incredibly lean. Like I was in pretty objectively good shape for a 21-year-old kid, but I remember how unhappy I felt in myself at the time. And I think that's a real problem. I would have always considered myself quite mentally strong, certainly up until that point. And that was something that I realized quite quickly. I was like, this is not a joke. This is actually quite a serious thing. At the age of 28 now, looking back on it, being able to reflect, I guess, and as a 21-year-old kid, felt on top of the world. You think you know everything, but looking back on it now as a 28-year-old, that's certainly not something I would want in my life again anytime soon. There's a whole host of other reasons and things that I don't think are necessarily super beneficial to you doing a bodybuilding prep and then competing in a show, such as the level of selfishness it requires, the way you have to cut people off and make yourself your only literal center of attention at all given times, because the only thing that is important to you during that time is yourself and getting the best out of yourself, which is required to be great. And look, I have a real obsession with a lot of sports people, great American sports people. They will all talk about, and particularly their teammates will talk about, the level of selfishness that they had to achieve greatness. And unfortunately, I think it is true that selfishness a lot of the time is required to achieve greatness. I don't think it's a great trait in people in general, particularly if you're just like an average person like I was, who's jumping into a show because they think it'll be a bit of fun and something to do for their YouTube channel at the time. You might be thinking, why should I listen to this guy? He didn't win his show. He's just bitter because he didn't do that well. I would like to think I would have the same perspective regardless of the outcome now that I look back on it. But as an older head, somebody who's been in this industry for a while, seen a lot of it, removed himself from it for a long time and is now back in it again, be careful. Steroids, competing, going down that route, it's once you start, you don't really stop, and the train keeps on rolling. You will always be looking for that sense of validation from other people, when in reality you probably just need to find a little bit of happiness in yourself. Don't look for your validation from strangers. It's easy for me to say when I'm posting a video online for people to watch and comment and critique and stuff. Don't base your own self-worth on how you perform in a very subjective bodybuilding show. Ultimately, the reason I'm making this video is just think about it. If you're thinking about competing and it's the road you want to go down, do it. 100%. Try it, because don't knock it until you've tried it. If you're on the fence about it, you're not too sure, my advice would be don't, because it's not the kind of thing that you can half-ass. It's not the kind of thing that you can kind of dip in and out of. You're either all in or you're all out. To summarize my closing thoughts, don't place your own value or self-worth in how you place in a bodybuilding show. Don't let a group of strangers on a given day for 3 to 5 minutes determine how you feel about yourself and your own performance and preparation. Just let this be a cautionary tale as to whether or not you will compete. And again, I'm not bashing anybody who does compete. I think it's great. If that's something that you're really passionate about, if that's something that you really enjoy, if that's your purpose, do it 100% and enjoy it. For me, I don't think I'll ever do it again. In fact, I'm fairly certain I'll never do it again, but you never know. No, I won't. But yeah, guys, do me a favor. If you enjoyed this style of video where it's just me sitting down with some old footage talking about a topic, let me know. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all very soon with the next episode of the Summer Sydney Shred. Peace.